Welcome to the Math Record. Today we'll be learning about ellipses. This video will be part 3 of chapter 5 in our Precalculus class. In this video, we will learn about conic properties of ellipses. So what is an ellipse? Well, ellipse is a collection of points whose distance from 2 points, which are called the foci, are constant. So imagine like an oval, and then you imagine 2 lines, right? And every single point on this line and the distance, let's say we have 2 points, right here, right here. Every single point, let's just say like a point right here, right? And you draw the distance here, distance 1, and the distance from here, distance 2. The sum of this distance plus this distance is the same as, let's say you have a point here, you draw a line, this is another distance, plus another distance here. These two distance is the same as these two distance combined. That's what they're saying. The sum of the distance is constant throughout. For an ellipse is made out of points. What the middle is called the center. Draw the shape. Sorry about the picture. I'm really bad. But and there's 2 foci. See, this is the center, which you spell by saying center. These are the foci. We'll represent with F. It's spelled like this, F-O-C-I. Foci. And there's 2 more points right here, which is called the vertices. V-E-R-T-I-C-E-S. The vertices. And they're all on wherever these points are, it's what's called the major axes. That line that they're all in. The line that's perpendicular to that line that makes a right angle, because it's perpendicular, and it goes through the center, it's called the minor axis. So that is basically the general way to write it. There are 2 main types of ellipses, which is right here. There's type 1, which is like this, and type 2. Type 1 has center HK, as I shown before in our example, and it's parallel to the x-axis, so it's parallel to here, so it has a major axis on the x-axis, because it's parallel to it. Now the foci are right here. I'll show you how to do the calculations later in our example. The foci. The vertices, right here at the other side, the vertices are always further away from the foci, from the center. And then you have the general equation, which is just the x term squared divided by this constant plus the y term squared divided by constant is equal to 1, which a is greater than b is greater than 0. You basically don't need to think about this for a while, and you don't have to think too much about this. I'll show you an example on how to do it. And then you have the same concept here, but instead of saying the major axis is on the x-axis, it's now to the y-axis. And it follows a general equation like this. So basically what the difference is that they switch the a's and b's around. So then the a is greater under the y, and the number under the y is greater, and the number under the x is smaller, while in this case, the number under the x is greater, and the number under the y is smaller. But they always follow this equation, whereas b squared is equal to a squared minus c squared. So it's the larger number minus this kind of constant is equal to the other number, the smaller number, and that's squared, which is already squared on the bottom here. So that's how you'll do it. So you could just pause this video to screenshot this if you want to just learn it by memorizing. But I'll show you like some examples how to do it. For circles, right? An ellipse for a circle is basically just the same if a squared is equal to b squared. So then if you substitute them together, it would be like a squared plus this number over a squared plus this number over a squared, or that number over b squared plus that number over b squared. Basically, these are going to be the same number. If these are the same numbers, then it's going to be a circle. Same case here, basically. So if a squared is if a squared if a squared is equal to b squared, then it's gonna be a circle. So let's look for example. We have 16x squared minus 32x plus 25y squared minus 100y. Let me move this a bit over. 100y and minus 84 is equal to 0. So basically, how do you tell this is a ellipse instead of a parabola or a hyperbola? Well, a ellipse has an x squared term and it has a y squared term, and both of these has to be the same signs. So this thing is both positive for these coefficients. So you know it's an ellipse. It's either both positive or it's both negative. If it's different signs, like one is negative and one is positive, or this one's positive and this one's negative, then it's gonna be a hyperbola. A hyperbola has an x squared term and a y squared term and different signs. A ellipse has the x squared term and a y squared term and the same signs, basically. So the first thing we should do is to get this equation into a general form, so something like this or this. So what we're gonna do first is that it's gonna be like completing the square. So you're gonna you want to put the x together and you want to put the y together. You don't want to care about this number for now. So what you're gonna do is that you see a 16 and a 32. So you just distribute out the 16 because you want the coefficient of x to be like 1 because you see right here is 1. It's gonna make sense later. So divide by 16 out here. So 16x squared minus 2x parentheses. And then right here on this side, you want to distribute out 25. So plus 25, 25 parentheses x squared. 100, negative 100 divided by 24 is negative 4. And then minus 84 equal to 0. So right now we want this to be in the form. So only it's x minus something squared. So what you're going to do is that you want to, like the same case with the parabola, just divide this by 2. So you have x squared, x minus 1 squared. So how does this factor out in relation to this? This is not equivalent to this. Basically, you see a 2, if you divide by 2 here, you get 1. So that makes x squared, right? You get this term, minus 2x gets this term, and then plus 1, all inside the parentheses. So this one's plus 1 in the parentheses. And then if this is plus 1, right? And this multiplies to that 16, that gets plus 16. So you gotta minus that 16 out. You see how I did that? And then you have plus, you do the same case here. You have 25. And then you have y minus negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 squared. And then negative 2 squared is 4. So 4 times 25 is 100. So you're going to minus that 100 because we have an extra 100. And then we have to minus that 84. And that is equal to 0. Sorry, I ran out of space. I've been writing this a little too big. So then basically we have 16x. You want to get all the numbers to the other side. So it's equal to 0. And then you want to add to all the other side. So this plus 25y squared. 25y minus 2 squared. Sorry. So you add a 16 to the other side, add a 100 to the other side, and add an 84 to the other side. So that makes that's 100 and that's 200. That makes 200 to the other side, okay? And then you divide by 200 because you want this side to be 1. As shown by here, it's to 1. So you divide this by 200. So 16 divided by 200 is 25. So it's x minus 1 squared divided by 25. Plus 200 divided by 25 divided by 200 is 1 over 16. So it's y minus 2 squared all over 16. And that equals to 1, basically. And so now you got the form. And now you just need to look for all the properties, basically. So what you're going to have to look for is you have to look for the center. Let's just draw a picture first. So basically whatever you do in here, you just look at the bigger number. So the bigger number is 25. So that's under the x. So it's gonna be on the x-axis. If 25 is under the y, then it's gonna be under the y-axis. Whatever the number is greater than the other number in the other in this equation, just put it under that. So you have the bigger number on the x. So put it so the major axis is gonna be on the x. So it's gonna be like this shape instead of saying this shape. Okay, and that's how I tell usually all the time. And now we just need to find all the points. So at this point, we need to find the center. We assign the foci, and we need to find the vertices right here. So the center. The center is pretty simple. Just look at the x terms and the y term. So you have to put a 1. 1 minus 1 equals 0. So the x coordinate at the center is 1. And the y coordinate is 2. It's basically that simple. And now you want to look for the foci. Okay? This is the part this is one of the only like formula you actually have to know. So it's going to be the bigger number minus c squared is equal to the smaller number. So that's 16. So if 25 minus 16, that's 9, is equal to c squared. So plus c squared here minus 16, that's 9. Okay, you get this. So c is equal to 3 plus or minus 3. So that's all you. So that's what you need to know. You need to know c. So that's gonna help us find the foci. So that number is plus 3 here and minus 3 here, right? So from the center, you have to go 3 to the right. So that would be the foci would just be 1. You add 4 over. I mean 3 over. That's 3 plus 1 is 4. At 2. The diagram is not really that like specific. You just want to get the general outline. Like how I did with the parabola, it's basically the same motion. So now 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So negative 2, 2. So that's where the foci are. Now you want to look for the vertices. The vertices are basically the numbers that are like all the way at the end. So all the way at the end, you just look at the equation. Basically, the all the way at the end, if you think about it, would just be under the bigger number. So the thing is 5 here. So the biggest number here is 5. So it's gonna go 5 over here, and it's gonna go minus 5 over this side. So basically the center plus 5, that's 6, 2, and minus 5 from 1 is negative 4. So negative 4, 2. And then these are basically all the points. So that's how you do it. It's basically just that simple. Okay, let's try another example. We have 169x squared minus 676x plus 25y squared minus 50y minus 50y and minus 3,524 is equal to 0. So as I did before, take out the coefficients in front of the x squared term and the y squared term. So that's 169. X squared, 676 divided by 169 will be equal to, using your calculator, that's 676 divided by 169 is 4. X, then plus, take out the 25, that's y squared, minus 2y, and then minus 352. 3,524. Sorry about that. Is equal to 0, basically. And now you want to write here, so you have 169. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, so x minus 2 is squared. That gets minus 4, right? So that's x squared, that's minus 4, and that is plus 4. So you have an extra plus 4 inside the parentheses. That plus 4 is multiplied by 169. So you gotta subtract those things out. So 169 times 4 is 676. So you gotta subtract that 676. And then you have to add 25. Y, -2 divided by 2 is -1. So that'll be y minus 1 squared. That's I squared, that's -2y, and that adds a 1. And then since it's multiplied by 25, that gets plus 25. So you need to minus that 25 out. And then you need to minus that 3,524 with 0. Then you get all those numbers to the other side, so you get 169x minus 2 squared plus 25y minus 1 squared is equal to, so 3,524 adds up to add 25 and add 676, which gets you 4,225. Now 169 divided by 4,225 gets you 25. So x minus 2 squared divided by 25 plus 25 divided by 4,225, it gets you 1 over 16. I mean 1 over 169. So that gets you y minus 1 squared all over 169 is equal to 1. It's not going to be always this term goes here, this term goes here. Like, sometimes it would, but sometimes it won't. I'm just using these examples because they're easier. So I already made these examples beforehand, so it's just really simple to work with. But sometimes it's not really going to be this simple. So basically you have these. You have the general form of this equation. So you see the 169 is greater in the y side, right? So by drawing the diagram, that means the major axis has to be in the y. So it's going to be something like this, right? And now you just need to find the center, the foci, the foci and the vertices. Center, the foci, and the vertices. Okay. So the center, as I said before, is just the x and y right here. So that's 2, 1. That simple. Foci. Okay, so you gotta remember, you got 25, 169. So it's the larger number minus c squared is equal to the smaller number. So 169 minus minus 25 is 144 is equal to c squared. So c is plus or minus 12. So that's plus or minus 12. So you got 12 up here and minus 12 down here, basically. So let me erase this. Okay. So the foci is going to the y. So adding 12 to the y here, you get 2, 13. Because 12 plus 1 is 13. And you subtract 12 from 1, which is 2. And 1 minus 12 is a negative 11. So that's how you do it. And now you have the vertices. The vertices are just the number that's like the greatest going down. So the greatest is 169. So square root of 169 is 13. So you put vertices up here. 2, 1 at the 13 here. So that's 2, 14. And subtract 13, which is 2. 1 minus 13 is negative 12. So that gives you the entire points. So it's basically just like that. So it's basically just that simple. That's how you do it like all the time. Get it to the general form, draw a picture, and then you write the center, and then you solve for the c, the value from the center to the focus. And then you kind of just do the calculations, and then look for the larger number under the equation, and then square root that number, and then you add to the value. So if this is under the y, so you add to the y. If this is under the x, you change the x. And they always change on the same side. So you're not gonna be like add 12 to the x and then minus 13 from the y here for the vertices. They're always gonna be on the same line. That's why you do everything on the same line. So go back. If you want to get this picture, you have it. Well, that covers everything for the ellipses. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next math record.